Kayla walked alone across the black plains of Raxus Prime. Ash blew across the sharp rocks, and the sky rumbled like it was always angry. Her skin, thick like armor, didn't feel the acid mist in the air, but her heart felt the silence. There were no others like her. Not anymore. Long ago, her people had lived across the valleys and storm cliffs. But over time, disease, war, and fear wiped them out. The elders called it the culling of the strong. Kayla had been a child, then stronger than her sisters, faster than her cousins. Her clan feared her strength. So they left her behind. That was 12 cycles ago now. Kayla was the only one who still walked the Deathworld without armor, without tech, and without fear. Every other species avoided Varax's Prime. The storms peeled metal from ships. The gravity crushed weak bones. The air corroded lungs in minutes. Kayla had accepted her fate. She was alone, the last Deathworlder, but on this day, something strange happened. It started with a sound, a humming, faint at first like an insect buzzing, then louder. As she looked up and narrowed her glowing eyes, a shape cut through the clouds. Ship, sleek, silver, not alien tech. It was ... primitive. No advanced shielding, no high-frequency cloaking. Stupid enough to land here, she thought. She moved across the rocky terrain, her feet cracking sharp crystal edges with each step. She climbed a cliff that overlooked the landing. Sight. Her breath slowed. Her body became still. Her claws curled around the ledge. The ship touched down, kicking up acid dust. The ramp opened, and then he stepped out. He was tall, by alien standards. Not armored, not suited. He wore only a rugged jacket and some kind of thin helmet, no air tubes. He stretched, popped his back, and Kella's eyes widened. He removed the helmet, and then he breathed. No coughing, no screaming. He didn't even flinch. What in the void? Kayla whispered. She watched as he knelt down and touched the soil, the ground that would burn through most species' skin in seconds. He picked up a rock, sniffed it, laughed. Who was this fool? She slid down from her hiding place, landing silently. Her body was tense. She didn't trust him. What was his purpose here? No one came to Varaxus, unless they were desperate or suicidal. Kayla circled around the edge of the canyon, keeping her distance but watching. The human, because that's what he was, she was sure of it, now pulled out a scanner, blinked and beeped, then sparked and shut down. The human chuckled and said aloud, "Well, that's fried. Should have brought the marks of N, I guess." Kayla frowned. He was talking, out loud, to himself. She'd never seen a human in real life, only through the forbidden archives her clan once kept. Stories said humans were soft, weak-boned, clever, yes, but not Deathworld material. Not this world. He reached into his pack, pulled out a ration bar, casually began to eat while walking directly into the boneworm territory. Kella's heart skipped. No, ... idiot. Not that way. She wanted to let him walk into danger. Maybe. Even watch the worms devour him. But something tugged at her. Curiosity, pity, annoyance. She followed. Minutes later, she found him standing over a boneworm nest. The creatures had risen, long, pale serpents with mouths like grinding saws, but they were dead. Each one smashed, now some sliced. All of them silent. The human stood in the center, chewing his snack, looking confused. Big bugs. Hope they weren't endangered, he muttered. Kella blinked. This was not normal. This wasn't possible. He turned suddenly, as if sensing her. His gaze locked onto hers through the trees of glowing thorns. She didn't hide, hey? He called out. Was wondering if anyone lived here. She stepped into the open. She expected him to panic, to draw a weapon. But instead he smiled. Didn't mean to trespass. Just exploring. Kayla didn't speak. She just stared. He slowly raised his hands in peace. Name's Cole. I come in peace. Honestly, I might have come here by mistake. My map was a little fried after that wormhole. Kayla finally spoke. Her voice was rough like stone. You breathe this air. You kill bone worms. You smile. Cole tilted his head. Yeah. It's a little harsh, but I've been to worse places. At least the view is nice. No one survives here. He raised an eyebrow. Well, I guess no one told me that. Kella's heart pounded. For the first time in years, it wasn't from danger. It was from something else. Hope, could it be? Was he... like her? The wind howled around them. Acid dust swirled. Two figures stood facing each other on a world that hated life. And Kayla whispered, "Another Deathworlder. To be continued." Kayla had faced storms that tore stone apart. She had killed beasts with skin harder than steel. But nothing prepared her for him, a human, who walked on her death world like it was a simple hiking trail. She followed from the shadows. Every instinct told her to stay hidden, to observe, but her curiosity overpowered caution. He didn't act like prey. He moved with strange confidence. He hummed softly as he walked, sometimes kicking rocks, sometimes stopping to inspect a glowing fungus with his bare hands. The spores from that plant could paralyze a creature in seconds. Kayla watched, ready to drag his body away if he collapsed. But he didn't. Instead, he touched the fungus, sniffed his fingers, and spat. Yuck. That's not marshmallow. She squinted. Ah! What is marshmallow? He kept walking. Kayla moved quietly through the jagged canyons, just behind him. Her strong legs barely made a sound, her body flowing like a hunter of old. But then he stopped. Without turning around, he said, "You're not very sneaky." Kayla froze. "No offense," he added, casually turning. "But I've been able to smell you since the worms." Her jaw tightened. "Smell me, yeah. You smell like ozone and lava rock." But in a weirdly nice way. Familiar, even. One had ever said her scent was nice. People ran from her, called her the walking poison. Now this strange human was complimenting her like he was chatting in a cafe. "Why are you here?" she asked sharply. He scratched his head. "Honestly? Was supposed to land on Versistu. That place is a resort planet. This one, not so much. Navigation error. Navigation error brought you here." "Yeah, lucky me, right?" She didn't laugh. She stepped forward, eyeing his skin. No burns, no peeling. His blood didn't boil under the sun like the others. "Who tried to invade her world?" "You should be dead," she said coldly. He shrugged. "I've heard that a lot." Kayla narrowed her eyes. "You're not just human." He nodded. "That's also been said." Wasn't sure if he was a fool or something more dangerous. She had to test him. "Follow me," she said. "You want to explore? I'll show you a place no alien dares to go." He tilted his head, curious. "Lead the way, lava girl." She didn't correct the name. They walked into the Churnfield-Zan area where the planet's crust shifted violently. Every few hours, the ground steamed, popped, and sometimes exploded. No drone ever returned from here. Kayla had crossed it once, when she was younger, and barely survived. "I'm not carrying you." She warned him. "Didn't ask you to," he replied. The ground under them rumbled, but Cole didn't flinch. Kayla jumped aside as a molten geyser burst from the rocks nearby. Cole only raised an eyebrow. "Hot," he muttered. "You're insane, probably." Further ahead, the ground split open, revealing glowing rivers of molten ore. She leapt across with practiced ease. When she turned to see if he would hesitate, he was already beside her. "Try to keep up," he teased. Her pride sparked. "You wish?" they continued, Kayla picking up speed. She dashed through fire paths, slid under spike roots, and dove between crystal blades. Each obstacle was deadly. Each step a test, and he passed them all. By the time they reached the end of the field, Kayla was breathing heavily, not from exhaustion, but from shock. He stood beside her, barely sweating. His jacket was slightly singed. One glove was melted at the edge. "That was fun," he said. Kayla stared at him. "You don't feel pain?" "Of course I do. I just choose when it matters." She stepped closer, now sure of what she felt earlier. His heartbeat was strong, steady. His skin scarred. His eyes not wild, but calm. She said softly, "You're not a normal human." He smiled faintly. Yes, you're not a normal alien either. Kayla blinked. In her whole life, no one had ever called her that with admiration in their voice. Was something old in his eyes. Something broken, but still burning. What's your name? She asked at last. Cole. I am Kayla of the... She stopped herself. No, ... just Kayla. Cole gave a small nod. Well, Kayla, I think we're both not supposed to exist here. That makes us dangerous. She tilted her head. Dangerous to whom? He glanced up at the sky. Depends who's watching. Suddenly, Kayla felt something she hadn't in years. Not loneliness. Not anger, but something strange, small. Spark inside. She had spent her life proving she was the strongest thing on her planet. And now, she might not be the strongest anymore. Kayla didn't trust Isley, especially not someone who smiled in acid rain and joked in lava fields. But something about this human Cole disturbed the rhythm of her cold. Lonely world, she needed to know if he was real or just lucky. So without warning, she took off running, not slow, not cautious, full speed. Vraxis Prime had places not even she liked to visit. She would take him there. If he followed, if he survived, then maybe she'd accept he truly was like her. Maybe the human didn't hesitate. It chased after her. Laughing like a fool, Kayla leaped over cracks that hissed steam. Cole followed. She slid beneath a giant razor-leaf plant that could slice bone. Cole ducked and rolled. She climbed the broken spine of a dead sand beast, its bones still hot from sun bleach. Cole scaled after her like he was born for it. Still, she didn't stop. They reached the edge of the glass. Plateau, a place struck by lightning so many times, the ground had melted into glass. Beneath the surface, the bones of dead explorers glittered. Like jewelry, Kayla didn't slow. She danced across the slippery surface barefoot. One wrong step meant falling through razor-sharp edges, or into hidden crevices that swallowed even the air. But Cole kept pace. He didn't glide like she did, but he adapted. He moved low, balanced, using his hands, eyes constantly scanning. He didn't try to show off. He simply moved. Halfway across, the lightning began. Kayla saw the first flash and called out, "We stay here, we die." She turned and saw Cole already sliding toward her. A bolt struck behind him. The shockwave shattered glass under their feet. The ground broke. Kayla's leg fell through. She screamed as sharp edges cut her thigh. Then his hand grabbed hers. He didn't hesitate. Didn't flinch. He pulled her up, blood dripping from both their hands. His palm was torn open. Still, he smiled through the pain. "Didn't think you'd fall before me," he said. Kayla blinked. No one had ever saved her before. They made it off the plateau just as more lightning crashed down. It collapsed under the shelter of an overhanging rock ridge. Breathing hard, Kayla's leg throbbed, but she kept her face calm. Cole pulled something. From his pocket-simple med patch, he tore it open with his teeth and handed it to her. She looked at it, confused. "You carry bandages?" He shrugged. "I don't usually need them, but I've had bad dates before." Kayla chuckled. Just once, a short surprise sound. "This is a date, isn't it?" She stared at him. "No," she said flatly. "This is a test." He leaned back against the rock. "Then did I pass?" Oh, she didn't answer. Instead, she pulled out her own blade and pressed it to the wound. With a hiss, she burned it shut, using the blade's hot edge. Cole watched with a raised eyebrow. "Remind me never to get on your bad side." Kayla looked at him, her voice low. "Right. Why didn't you run when the lightning started?" He leaned. His head back, "Because you didn't?" Silence fell again. But this time, it wasn't awkward. It was heavy. Real. After a while, Cole spoke again. "I've seen a lot of worlds," he said. "Most of them are too soft. People live behind shields and domes. They think strength is about guns or rank." He turned to her, "But you walk barefoot on glass and acid and laugh at storms. You remind me of Earth before we ruined it." Kayla blinked. "Earth is your home?" It's gone now. Not dead dash, just ... tamed. Too much tech. Too little challenge. She understood that her planet was cruel, but it had purpose. "It forged you." Kayla lowered her voice. My people are gone. They feared their own kind, feared strength, called it a sickness. Cole nodded slowly. Same story everywhere. Ch. Met his eyes then. Maybe our kind is not meant to survive, or, he said, leaning forward, maybe we're meant to find each other. Something about those words echoed in her chest, strange warmth. Not from the heat, but from the idea of not being alone anymore. She stood, slowly. Come, there's one more place. If you survive that, I'll believe you. He grinned. Lead the way. As they walked, Kayla felt the strange sense growing. She had tested him through fire, storm, and glass, and he never backed down. He didn't just survive. He belonged here. And for the first time since her exile, she wasn't the only Deathworlder anymore. The wind over the ridge howled like a mourning spirit. Kayla stood on a black stone bridge stretched between two broken cliffs in ancient ruin carved by her ancestors long before the culling.
Ow.
No one had stepped here for centuries, not even her. And now, we're springing him, Cole, the human who laughed at death and smiled through storms. This place, she said, her voice low, was once sacred. Cole stood beside her, looking around at the jagged carvings. The scorched symbols burned into stone by volcanic lightning. What is it? He asked. Kayla stepped forward and traced a line across. A cracked pillar. The last time two Deathworlders met here, they fought. Cole blinked. For sport? No? She turned to face him. They fought for truth, for blood, and for bond. He raised an eyebrow. Bond, Kayla didn't answer. She stepped toward the center of the stone circle. The floor there was covered in strange markings, half faded, half glowing faintly under her footsteps. She placed her hand on a flat disc in the middle. It lit up. Pulsing red dot. Cole felt a low hum beneath his boots. What did you just activate? He asked. Now, more cautious. Kayla met his eyes. The challenge. The wind died. The plateau grew still. Kayla took a deep breath. In my culture, when two Deathworlders meet, they must prove who is worthy, either through battle or through surrender. Cole tilted his head. Surrender. Only one may lead. Only one may stand. She paused. Where they choose to bond. Share strength. Become one. Cole chuckled nervously. You're telling me this now? You followed me here? She said. You passed the test. Now you face the ritual. She raised her blade. Cole held up his hands. Hold on, so it's a fight or a bond? Why does this sound like an alien marriage proposal? Kayla's grip tightened. It's not a proposal. It's survival. And she lunged. The first strike was fast. Too fast. Cole barely dodged the blade's arc, the wind of it brushing his cheek, ducked and rolled across the stone floor, rising to his feet with widened eyes. You're serious? He shouted. Kayla didn't reply. She attacked again. This time he blocked it with a metal rod from his belt, likely meant for climbing. Sparks flew as her blade clashed with his makeshift weapon. I liked the tests better, Cole grunted. Kayla spun and kicked. He stumbled back, but stayed standing. No holding back, she growled. This is sacred, Cole sighed. Fine, sacred it is. Then he moved, faster than before, more focused. He didn't fight with style, but with instinct. His strikes were wild, unpredictable. He used the environment, jumping from broken stones, swinging around a leaning pillar, even tossing a loose rock at her cowled, blocked, countered. Her blood pumped with fire. This wasn't a normal fight. This was fun. After minutes of back and forth clashing, they both froze, breathing hard, blades down, slocked. Kayla had a small cut on her shoulder. Cole had a gash on his cheek. Blood dripped, but neither flinched. I could have killed you, she said softly. He smiled. I was thinking the same. She stepped closer. Her voice dropped. Then why didn't you? His answer came slow. Because I don't want to be alone anymore either. The silence that followed was louder than thunder. Kayla's blade lowered. She stared at him, really stared. He wasn't just strong, he was stubborn. And he didn't need to prove himself anymore. He already had. She opened her palm. He looked down at it, unsure. This means bond, she whispered. Equal strength, shared burden, no leader, no follower. He hesitated. Then he took her hand. The ground beneath them pulsed again. The red lights turned violet. The ancient circle acknowledged them. The ritual had ended, and no blood had been spilled. Kayla stepped back and nodded. You chose well. Cole looked around. So, what now? Do we fight off more monsters together? No, Kayla said. Then she smiled for the first time. Now we make the galaxy nervous. They didn't speak much after the ritual. The stone circle behind them faded into silence again, as if satisfied with their choice. Kayla led them through a narrow canyon with glowing roots creeping from the walls. The ground hissed beneath their feet, but the danger felt distant now. Cole walked behind her, his cheek still bleeding a little from the cut she gave him during their fight. But he didn't complain. He hadn't complained once since they met. That bothered Kayla. Most travelers cried, cursed, or begged when they landed on Vraxis. But not him. Not this strange, stubborn human.
Ow.
He smiled when he should have screamed. He laughed when he should have run. And now he held her hand like they were old friends. Or maybe something more. Kayla stopped at the edge of a cliff that overlooked a dried-out lake. Its surface was full of bones, alien skeletons twisted in final agony, long devoured by time. The wind smelled of ash and silence. This is where my people died, she said quietly. Cole said nothing. She pointed to the center of the lake bed. My mother stood there, the last elder. She told the others I was cursed, that I was too strong, that I'd bring ruin. He looked at her face stone cold, but her eyes were shaking. I was only a child, she whispered. Cole stepped closer but didn't touch her. He knew. Some wounds weren't on the body. I begged them not to leave, she continued. But they walked into the flames willingly. Said the world needed cleansing. Said I was the last mistake. A long pause. Even the wind held its breath. After that, I never spoke again for many seasons, Kayla said. I hunted alone. Slept in the cold. Talked to no one. I told myself it was better this way. Her voice broke just a little, but then you came. Cole sat on a nearby rock, carefully lowering his pack. His voice was low.
Didn't
deserve you, Kayla blinked. You were a child, he said. They were cowards hiding behind fear. She clenched her fists. What if they were right? What if I am in danger? He looked up. Then it makes two of us. Kayla stared. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small square device. It flickered with static and a frozen image, a picture of a younger Cole, wearing a soldier's uniform. Beside him stood 4 other humans, laughing, arms around each other. This was my squad, he said. We were sent to a jungle world. Bioengineered traps. Living trees. The air made most people insane in 2 days. Kayla nodded. Heard of such worlds? We trained for months. Thought we were ready, but things went wrong. One of us got infected. Another snapped. I made the call. What call? I locked them all in a shield dome. Burned the forest around it. Told command it was mercy. Kayla's eyes widened slightly. I was the only one who made it out, he said. They called me a hero, gave me medals. But I never stopped hearing their screams. He looked up at her with tired eyes. That's my hidden wound. Kayla didn't speak for a long time. Then slowly she sat beside him, close. Their shoulders touched. You carry fire in your chest, she said. Just like me. Cole nodded. It still burns. They sat in silence, surrounded by bones and memory. But it wasn't the silence of loneliness anymore. It was the silence of understanding. Night fell over. As Kayla lit a small fire using stone flint and dry crystals. The flames danced green. Cole handed her a ration pack. She sniffed it and made a face. This smells worse than worm guts. He laughed. But it's high in protein. She took a bite in immediately, spat it out. You humans are dangerous. He grinned. Told you. Kayla smiled back. For once the firelight didn't just warm her skin. It reached deeper. Later that night she asked, will you leave? Cole. stared at the stars. "Do you want me to?" She didn't answer. He leaned back on the rock. "I don't know what's out there anymore. But for the first time in years, I'm not in a rush to find it." Kayla looked at him. Her voice was barely a whisper. "Then stay. For one more night." Cole nodded, and under the burning stars of a dead world, two broken survivors began to heal together. Asterisk the stars above Veraxis. Prime were not peaceful that night. They shimmered unnaturally like eyes blinking in the dark. Kayla noticed it first. Her eyes, used to hunting shadows, narrowed at the strange flickers in the upper atmosphere. "They're watching," she said flatly. Cole sat up beside the dying fire. Kayla didn't answer at once. Instead, she rose to her feet, her claws clicking against stone. She pointed toward the eastern sky, where something glowed faintly red and moved in a straight, unnatural path. Slavers. Gene hunters, they scanned death worlds from orbit, searching for rare DNA, living weapons, survivors. Cole stood instantly alert. "They tracked my ship." Kayla didn't nod. She didn't have to. "They think this planet is empty," she said. "That only bones remain. They'll be surprised." "And stupid," Cole added. But Kayla didn't smile. "They don't come for fun. They come prepared." 30 minutes later, sky split open. Flames streaked through the clouds as small dropships broke the atmosphere, roaring like angry wolves. 3 in total each one, sleek, spiked, and dripping with violet lights. Cole adjusted the straps on his jacket. "They don't look friendly." "They're not," Kayla said, her voice cold. "They take what lives and kill the rest." He glanced at her. "You fought them before?" She nodded. "I escaped them once. Barely. They want my bloodline. My strength." "Then they'll want me to," he said. Kayla looked at him for a long second. "Good. Let them try." The dropships landed hard on the black sands, shaking the cliffs. From their bellies, armored figures emerged, tall and insectoid, wrapped in bone-colored armor and holding plasma staffs, crackling with green fire. Their leader, a towering brute with a red helm, stepped forward, scanning the ground with a hissing device. "Life signs," it growled. 2 readings. High resilience class, prepare nets, and suppressants. Kayla and Cole crouched above, hidden behind a jagged ridge. Cole whispered, "They're expecting weaklings." "Then let's disappoint them." The ambush came fast. Kayla leapt first, falling like a meteor, claws tearing through one soldier's armor before he could scream. Cole dropped behind her, using a sharpened crystal rod to disable another. The hunters reacted, but not fast enough. Their traps missed. Their nets melted in Kayla's acidic counterblades. One hunter fired a suppressant dart. Cole twisted mid-roll, catching it mid-air and stabbing it back into the shooter's own leg. The hunter screamed and dropped. "They learn slow," Cole muttered. "They don't expect resistance," Kayla said. Spinning to slash through 2 more. The leader roared and charged with his staff raised. Kayla met him mid-lunge. The 2 clashed. Like titans, the staff sparking wildly, her claws slashing faster than the eye could follow. Each blow shook the sand. The other hunters dared not interrupt. Meanwhile, Cole fought like a brawler from a savage world. He wasn't elegant, but he was clever. He used the terrain, grabbed weapons off the fallen. At one point, he rolled under a hunter and flipped him headfirst into the fire. Kayla finally knocked the leader's weapon away, but took a hard hit to the ribs. She stumbled. "Kayla," Cole shouted, hurling a burning piece of ship metal toward her attacker. The leader caught it midair and tossed it aside right before Kayla spun and drove both claws deep into his chest. She whispered something in her native tongue as he gasped, then pulled out his heart. When the fight ended, the battlefield was covered in ash, blood, and twitching metal. Kayla stood over the fallen leader, her body glowing faintly from battle heat. Cole walked beside her, breathing heavily, but alive. "They won't be the last," she said. "They came for us," Cole replied, "which means someone knows." Kayla looked to the sky, "And more will come." Cole nodded. "Then we give them something to fear." She turned to him. "You fight like a Deathworlder." He smirked. "You scream." "Like one?" She blinked, then laughed, short, sharp, and genuine. For a moment, it felt good. Powerful, right? But that moment didn't last. A distant hum filled the air again. This time, it wasn't drops. A pulse from deep space sent. By the dead hunters, a warning. A beacon. Kella's voice dropped. They've called the collectors. Cole's smile vanished. Who are they? She looked at him, voice grim. The ones who enslaved my ancestors. They had only ours. Kayla and Cole stood on the edge of the cliffs, looking up at the stars. The signal from the fallen hunters had gone out, and now the sky was changing. A black shape blotted out the stars above. Silent, massive, like a giant. Claw stretching across space. The collector arc, Kayla whispered. Her voice trembled not from fear, but memory. It drags planets behind it. It doesn't just take people. It takes worlds. Cole's jaw clenched. So, do we hide? Do you turn toward him slowly? No, we stand. Rax's prime began to shake. The arc didn't land, simply opened. From its underbelly, long tubes of silver poured down harvest tendrils. Machines, probes, soldiers, and floating pods. They didn't ask questions. They scanned for heat, for strength, for fear, and they began to consume. Mountains cracked. Were lifted. Rivers boiled away. Cole and Kayla didn't move. They walked toward the chaos, inside a buried ruin. Kayla unearthed something she swore never to touch again, a suit made for her bloodline, forged by her ancestors during the First Wars. It pulsed as she approached, recognizing her. You wore this before? Cole asked. No, she said. I was afraid of what I'd become in it. He stepped beside her. Then don't wear it. Alone, he placed his hand on a rusted control panel, hissed, and clunked, and a second suit emerged. Smaller, not meant for her kind, but ancient, and human. Cole's eyes widened. How is this? Your kind was here once, Kayla. Said long ago. One of your people helped forge this place. They looked at each other, both suited up. The suits sealed with a snap of energy and memory, and the storm above welcomed its challengers. The battle began on the shattered hills. Kayla moved like a flame, her body lit with molten lines, her claws, now amplified by the old tech. Cole moved like thunder, his strikes heavy, deliberate, brutal. Together, he tore through the collector drones. Kayla slammed a pod out of the sky. Cole caught one mid-fall and flipped it into a crater. More came. Still they stood, inside the ark. The collector watched. His voice was many voices layered over each. Other. 2 high-threat lifeforms detected. Classification: Deathworlders. Solution: assimilation or annihilation. It dropped the purge frame from Orbiton armored beast, 20 meters tall, walking fire. When it landed, the ground screamed. Cole looked at it. That one's mine. Kayla didn't argue. He ran straight at the giant. The fight was brutal. Cole's armor took a direct hit from the beast's energy cannon. He flew back and slammed into a jagged rock spire, but got up, bleeding inside, but not broken. He climbed the monster's back, ripping wires and smashing joints. Kayla, meanwhile, fought. Swarms of elite drones, slicing through metal like paper. They circled her, adapted, shifted formations. But they couldn't break her rhythm. Every time one hit her, she hit back harder. She wasn't just fighting them. She was defying history. Finally, Cole reached the purge frame's core. He ripped open its casing and plunged a plasma charge into it from Earth. He whispered and jumped off. It exploded in a ball of fire that reached the clouds. Kayla saw it and screamed. His name, but when the smoke cleared, he stood, barely, limping, burned, but smiling. You owe me dinner. He coughed. Kayla ran to him, caught him before he fell. You fool. You like that about me? She didn't deny it. The arc above shook. It began pulling back, retreating. The collectors hadn't expected resistance. They hadn't expected them. For the first time in galactic records, The collectors lost on a death world. Later, when the sky calmed and the world stopped burning, Kayla and Cole sat atop a rock, staring at the stars again. So Cole said, "What now?" Kayla leaned against him. "They'll be back. But next time, we won't be the only ones." He glanced at her. "We start something," she said. "We find others like us. The ones abandoned, exiled, forgotten." "Deathworlders?" he asked. "No," she said softly. "Survivors." He smiled. "I like the sound of that." She stood and offered her hand. "Come on, Cole. Let's give the galaxy a reason to tremble." Took it, and together they walked into the storm once more.